Hello everybody. In a previous video I discussed a prior power system that I used, a portable power system that I used to power my stuffed minivan camper. This is a system that I used previously, and I've simplified it down to that portable battery pack, although this unit is actually more powerful and strong enough to actually run a microwave, although I think the battery pack will only run the microwave once or twice before the power is drained, and then you have to recharge it, which is why I don't really use it too much. But in the event that I needed to use it, I have this homemade unit, and I'm going to show you how it works. Basically inside, which I'll show you here shortly, is a battery. Most people who put together their first systems will use car battery, but it's recommended that you use golf cart batteries or marine batteries because they last longer and are meant for usage where the power may run really low before it gets charged back up. Currently what I have in there is just a regular car battery. I had old batteries sitting around, and I put it in there to put it to use instead of just letting it sit there and die, basically. Batteries should be charged up when they're not being used, otherwise they tend to just die and stop working. So how it works is this. Inside is essentially a car battery, and I have a positive and negative cable that plugs into the positive post and the negative post. And this red here is the positive, this black is the negative on my power inverter. And this particular power inverter is 750, yes, I think it's 750 watts, which is pretty decent size. My microwave uses 700 watts, so this is powerful enough to run the microwave. And it's got a built-in USB port for charging, and two 120 volt or 110 volt, whatever it is, outlets here for plugging in regular conventional devices. And what's really cool about it is I can turn it on and off, and right now when I turn it, it's off, but when I turn it on, push that button, it gives me a reading, and it tells me right now there's no power being used. And I can look here, the battery charge is 12.2 volts, so it's got a pretty decent charge on it. And the output right now is 120 volts, and right now we're currently not using any power, so that's what's going on. When I plug in a device and I turn it on, this number will go up to show me how many watts I'm actually using up. Something else that's cool about it, I bought this little cigarette lighter expansion thing. You can buy these for about $10 or so, but this particular one comes with 2 USB ports and a 12 volt outlet. So I can plug in 12 volt devices or items in here, like a fan, at night. So I can plug in a 12 volt fan and run it all night. I could do that also with my previous power pack, the self-contained boosted unit that I have. But that's how I did it, actually. When I needed to stay cool at night, I would plug in a 12 volt device or fan and run it. But I could also plug a phone or whatever in here, and it would stay. It stays constantly on because it's connected to the positive and negative here, which is constantly connected to the battery. So this is a really nice, simple system that you could put together probably in an hour or so. What you need is basically a battery box. These things run about $10 or so at Walmart. And let me open it up here to show you what's inside. Let me turn it off. Just hit the button and turn it off. Try to get this thing to pop open here. Hang on a moment, let me pop this off. Okay, I've undone that, and essentially, well, before I take it open here, just so you know how everything's held together, it's Velcro. I basically Velcroed everything. You can see everything's Velcroed on. These screws are here because originally I mounted the 350 watt inverter, which has screw attachments, onto this device. I just thought I'd leave it in case I decide to put the 350 back on here. This one here, I just use Velcro and just Velcro in place. And this particular unit here is screwed into place with the screws that they give you when you buy the unit. But once you pop this is what's inside. And you can see I just have a Walmart battery here, Everstart. And the black goes to black, the red goes to red. Black is negative and red is positive. Now, this unit itself doesn't charge, obviously. It's got nothing to charge it to. If you wanted to charge it, you could run heavy gauged 12-volt wiring from the alternator of the vehicle to this battery, and it would charge when your car's turned on and driving. It would basically charge when you're driving around, just like your vehicle would. And that would be the most ideal way to charge this unit, is to actually run it off the alternator. What a lot of people do is they hook up an isolator and charge this battery. This is called the house battery, while the vehicle's running. And what the isolator does is it separates the charging so that your house battery isn't charged until your vehicle battery's charged. And it keeps your house battery here from draining the vehicle battery. And the reason you don't want to drain the vehicle battery is if you do that, then your car won't start. So that's a fairly simple way of charging it. Of course, it would involve installing cabling and an inverter or switch so that you can charge the house battery while the car's running. And you don't want to have it so that it runs directly to the battery that's hooked up inside the hood or under the hood, because the batteries will tend to equalize. And so if this one runs out, it'll pull power from your vehicle battery, and that will run out or run low. I don't have that hooked up because I don't want to deal with that. And what I did to keep this unit charged up when I was completely off-grid was kind of a kludge. It's not the most efficient, but it was a simple system that I used, and it worked. I know the purists will say, well, you should just go ahead and put in an isolator and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you can do all that, but I didn't. And the reason I didn't is just I didn't feel like installing an isolator, and I went with what I had. And let me show you that. Let me go ahead and put this back up here. Okay. So I'll make all this nice and pretty. And I got the unit back together. What I did when I was carrying this, I didn't have it like on the side here, although you could. If I were doing it now, I'd probably put it here because this is nice and easy to access. But I'd probably put L brackets to L bracket the case, like here and here, down here, as well as L brackets to hold it in place to my console here, so the battery unit doesn't fly around in the event of a crash or something. Or hopefully it won't fly around. It may. The battery's pretty heavy. Okay, to charge the system back up, I just used a regular battery charger. This is a 2, 4, and 6 amp charger, and I basically will charge it about I don't know if I got it to go up to 6. I know I got it to go between 2 and 4, maybe 6 amps, but I would use this and plug the positive and negative here. You see the alligator clip here on the inside. I basically ran it up through here and put it in there. Put red to red, black to black. But now we got a problem. This thing requires 120 volts, 110 volts, 120 volts. So the car produces 12 volts. So how do I charge it while I'm driving? Well, that's where this inverter comes in. This is a small little one that generates up to 225 watts, and it has a cigarette lighter plug. I think you can go up to 200, maybe 165 watts through a cigarette lighter in a vehicle. So what I do is I take this unit and I plug it into the cigarette lighter, which I'll show you in a moment. Frankenstein setup here. As you can see, we're inside the cockpit of Little Blue 2. And I have my inverter here, the small little one, the 225 watt. And I've mounted it using Velcro. Just put a little Velcro thing there. That's useful for storing all sorts of stuff, but in this case it's holding the inverter. Yeah. Okay, so then I take this plug and I unplug my USB phone chargers and I plug this guy in. Now it won't work right now because this cigarette lighter outlet is only active when the vehicle is actually running. So let's see, look, turn on, nothing's happening. But if I crank the car up, I'm driving around. Okay, with the car running now, this cigarette lighter is live. Cigarette lighter outlet is live. And now we're feeding the 12 volt through here. And when I flip it on, let me show you here. I don't know if you can hear that and see, but the light came on and the fan is spinning to cool it down. But now this 110 volt socket is live, and I simply plug my battery charger into that, and then my system charge up. So my battery will charge back up. And once it's charged, I can turn it off, and that's pretty much it. You know, just shut this unit down. What I usually do though is I go ahead and unplug everything just to play it safe. And that's how I do it. But because I have this small portable unit here right now, I don't really do that anymore. This is just a lot cleaner, a lot simpler, and yeah, it suits my needs. So I don't really use that homemade unit anymore, although it is nice to have, and I might use it to run stuff in the house. I also have alternative ways of charging that unit, which I'll show you in just a moment. Okay, as I mentioned previously, I basically charge this particular battery up using this regular battery charger. And when I have, I can do this when I'm in a hotel room, or wherever I have access to 110, 120 volt power. I just charge that up by plugging in the alligator clips, plug this unit in, turn it on to the speed that I want it to charge, and just let it run. This will charge a battery overnight, I think about like 8 to 10 hours. When I'm driving around, I typically don't manage to charge the whole vehicle up unless I was like taking a cross-country trip or something. But it at least adds power to the battery when I'm driving around. And what I do to help supplement the charging is I use like a portable little solar panel. This particular one is a Coleman, and I think it's 15 watts or so. It won't, I don't know if it can fully charge the battery. It was more of a trickle charger, a battery maintainer. And what I did was I mounted this on the dashboard of the vehicle. And on the other end, it has a line that runs out. And this particular line right here has this connector. And I had a connector that came with a Coleman that went to alligator clips with red and black, again for positive and negative, and I ran that other end inside here to charge the battery itself. And basically I left the Coleman out in the window and let it charge up. Currently this Coleman is dead. I think it died because it might have got too hot sitting on my dash, because I am in Florida and the temperature can get quite hot in a vehicle. And I think it ended up getting so hot it killed my solar panel. So right now I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I might toss it, or I might try to open it up to see if there's something inside that I can fix. But that essentially was my old power system, and what I used before I bought the power pack. And it served me fine. The only reason I got the power pack was for a time I ended up not having to live in a van, but living in a BMW, a small little tiny BMW. And obviously this power pack is huge. So that's when I ended up buying that unit. I saw it on sale for $65 and said, hey, this will fit in a car. So that's how we ended up with that unit, which I like. So basically I downgraded to a portable unit that was I didn't have as much power, but it was more compact and easier to handle and a little bit safer because the battery inside was sealed. This particular battery, if you use this battery or even a marine battery, and I don't know if the golf cart batteries are sealed or not, but if they're not sealed, what happens when you're charging like a lead acid battery like this one is that it produces gases, and you don't really want to have it charging in a closed environment like a van or something, because that gas is explosive. So if a spark hit it or something, it could blow up. How I handled that was, typically when I was driving to charge it, my windows would be open, You know, it didn't have to be open all the way, but I would have the rear windows open and the front windows open slightly so that wind would blow through and basically blow out any gases. So I wasn't too concerned about the gas, you know, being produced because it was being blown out as it was being produced. But if you are going to build a system like this, keep that in mind. You'll want to have a way of venting it so it goes outside. I would not recommend charging it while you're driving around unless you have your windows open, you know, just for safety, just so that the gases can blow out your vehicle. And I think that about wraps it up for the power options that I have for Little Blue 2. If you'd like to make a unit like this, all you need is a battery, a case to hold it, a power inverter so you can get 120 volt output, and that's the basic unit. And if you wanted to have USB ports, you could get something like this for $10 to add, and also the versatility of a 120 volt. The power inverter doesn't have to be this big fancy one. You could use the one that I use, you know, the 225 volt one if you wanted to, or the other one which doesn't have the USB here and the power indicator and whatnot. But this was a nice one that I got, and the reason I got it is because it'll hit 750 watts. You know, convert up to 750 watts, which at the time I used because I had a microwave, and I thought that the microwave would be cool to have and handy because I could cook microwave popcorn and whatnot for my kids when they were seeing me, when they were visiting. But it ended up not being that practical because basically you could cook 1 or 2 bags of popcorn and then the unit was out of power. So I didn't really use it, and you'll notice in the current build, Little Blue doesn't really have a microwave. Although I could carry a microwave when I'm off, when I'm boondock somewhere where I have access to 120 volt power. So a microwave isn't totally useless. It's just useless if you're off grid with no 120 volt power because it's such a high power consumption device. So I don't carry a microwave around, but if I were living full time, I might have a microwave installed for times when I'm actually hooked up to 120 volt. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And if you could help share my videos, that would be awesome, because I'm hoping that these video series that I'm putting together is helpful to people should they find themselves in an emergency situation where they had to move into a vehicle, or if they just want to travel and do it on a budget, because most of these items, as you can see, aren't that expensive to put together, and the build itself isn't too complicated. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to post them in the comments, and I'll try to get back with you on them. Have a good day now.